Do you know the story of Elizabeth and Zechariah? They were an older couple, very much past the childbearing years, and were childless. This, of course, was looked at as being a disgrace, perhaps even a curse from God. They had prayed for children for years, but to no avail. And it seems to me that they had probably quit praying for a child years before, as all hope was lost. What do you think? So an angel comes to Zechariah when in his function as a priest, he is alone in the temple bringing a sacrifice to the Lord. The angel tells Zechariah that Elizabeth will have a child who will be like Elijah, preparing God's people for the coming of the Messiah. Zechariah says, "How is this going to happen, since Elizabeth and I are both much too old to have children?" And in reply to his doubting and questioning, God gives him a sign that all of this actually really happened. And that sign was to make him to not be able to speak until the child was born. So often we just see the facts to a story like this. What this film does, it actually takes the spirit of the child of Christ who stepped into our world and took on human flesh. It is no longer just a story about facts, but it's also a story about people, about flesh and blood. It's about our hearts and how we connect to one another in the real world. Did you see the love between Zechariah and Elizabeth? They were caring, heart-filled looks, a friendly banter, and a gentle back and forth. Understanding hearts. Did you see it? Truly, two had become one. This is the love in the marriage toward one another that reflects a special love known that they knew in God, and this love is called grace. And did you see the joy? There was true joy with Zechariah when he told Elizabeth the news. There were tears of joy and laughter, full of joy as Elizabeth received the news, and they celebrated it together. Zechariah even quoted the angel when he said, "We will be filled with joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at this birth." And there was hope and doubt, and no doubt certainty, a faith that was all true. No questions, just trust. This had happened. Elizabeth trusted the angel, and she trusted her husband. And besides, the sign was right there. After all, he couldn't talk. And finally, there was peace, a true peace. She was way past childbearing years, but she didn't care. They would probably not be alive to see their son even enter his 20s. But there was God in his hands. And if he could walk in the steps of Elijah, he certainly would not have an easy life. But again, that was left in God's hands. Even after waiting this long to have a son, they could not name him after the father, which is what their custom dictated. But who cared? His name would be John, and they were at peace with this God of grace. These, love, joy, hope, and peace, these are the gifts of Christmas. Love, in the personal, touching love we saw between Elizabeth and Zechariah as their lives were intertwined together, as we see the picture of Jesus. His love to us as he personally intertwines his life to ours. Bethlehem and his daily life with us right now. He is Emmanuel. He is God with us. Joy. In the same way that Zechariah and Elizabeth were filled with joy at the unexpected and miraculous gift of a son, so too we see the Christ child and are filled with joy. What a great miraculous gift this is. Hope. Hope in the same way that they trusted with sure, certain hope the words of the angel tied to the sign of Zechariah with his inability to speak. So we trust the witness of Jesus, of all the eyewitnesses written down in his word, seeing the greatest sign ever given, the sign of the empty tomb. It is all true. You can bet your life on it. You can bet your eternity on it. It's all true. Peace. Just as Zechariah and Elizabeth, with all the questions and all the things that were not right, that were swirling around, that could dwell and create doubt in your mind. No, they had peace. Beyond human understanding, they had peace. So too, we in our questions and through those things that we just think maybe aren't right, that are not right in our lives, can dwell in this same peace. The same peace is available to us. We can leave our questions and uncertainties of our lives in his loving hands and be at peace. For these things are meant for us also. For this is why John came, to prepare us, his people, for the coming of Jesus, the coming at Bethlehem, his daily coming to each of us through his word and through his Spirit, as his final coming in all his glory, when every eye will see him. For even John's name prepares us. His name shall be John, which means the Lord is gracious. The God of Christmas and the grace filled with God, who would personally step into our world and take on our sin upon himself, even unto the cross, and who would also daily step into our lives for us and bring us joy, love, hope, and peace. These are gifts of the Christ child. Amen. And now by the peace of our God, which transcends all human understanding, guard your true faith until life everlasting. Amen.